was my
Okay.
Today is Manjiri Prabhu, who has many feathers to her cap. She is an author, TV producer, filmmaker. She is also known as the Desi Agatha Christie. She is also the director of Pune International and Literary Festival. For a person like me who has studied literature and found comforts in binge watching TV series and reading fiction, it is a great pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you
Since
very much. Pleasure being here.
Yes, thank you. Since we have a time constraint, we only have 10 minutes, so I will straight away begin with my questions. My first question to you is that since you are, both a filmmaker, director, and an author, what is your view on movie adaptations of books? Like there are so many examples, and if I'm to mention, it can be Sense and
Mhm.
Sensibility, it can be The Lord of the Rings, The Life of Pi. Does written words find home in actions, or do they get lost? What do you think?
Thank you, Shreya. It's a very important question, given that everyone is now trying to get the books adapted into films. But authors, when they write their books, they put their heart and soul into it, and it's a visual medium, but through words. They have to understand that when the book goes to adaptation, it
Right.
is going to be transformed into a purely visual medium, along with music and an entire other team working on it. An author only works alone on his book, whereas when you turn it into a film or
Yeah.
a television serial, it's an entire team working on it.
Yeah, it
So
instantly
the
becomes
whole
a team film.
soul, exactly. So the whole soul of the book actually gets
Mm.
transformed. The message that the author wants to give in the book through words could be completely adapted into a completely different medium. My take on this is that when an author gives a book for adaptation, she has to be prepared mentally that is going to take a completely different shape and sound and drama, and there are actors who are going to be taking shape, taking the face of your characters. So you have to be prepared for a completely different take of a director and of another writer. So the shape, not just the medium changes, but even the soul of the book can change. And I think that is the biggest risk a writer takes when he or she gives the book for adaptation. So they have to be mentally prepared for it. Because it's the writer herself or himself who's actually making the film. Then he and she can stay true to his original idea and everything. But yes, adaptations are in, and I think it's a good thing because then the book gets a wider audience, and more people get the author's ideas and see the story. And well, it's a different high seeing your book in a film
Yeah,
format.
yeah. Listening to you, I just remember that when Coleridge and Shelley they were talking about this wheeling suspension of disbelief. I think movie is a powerful medium, like more powerful medium to do that because when we go to cinema theaters, and if there is someone who is studying films, we will probably know that how the lighting, the sound effect, everything is meant to create that atmosphere for you where you just get suspended from all your surroundings. Moving to my second question, ma'am. French essayist Roland Barthes, in his work Death of an Author, argues against traditional literary criticism's practice of relying on the intentions and biography of an author to definitively explain the ultimate meaning of a text. He creates this idea of separating a literary work from his creator. How far do you think it is possible? Like if we look at J.K. Rowling, she has always been an imaginative young girl, and so many of her fictional characters are drawn from her surroundings. Now, if we try to separate Rowling's experience from her character, does the character not lose the essence and touch of originality?
Yes, it's a good question because you see, this has always been a question of discussion, whether the work of an artist can be separated from who he is or she is. I look at it this way: everyone who writes or everyone who creates anything comes with some kind of background. They have their childhood fantasies, their childhood experiences, their peer experiences, and family settings. Everything, the society they live in, everything has kind of played a role in who that person is. And
Yeah.
from that point of, let's say, that's that point of, how should I call it, point of beginning, if you want to call it, that's where their imagination or their work of art or the work of creation begins. So definitely I feel personally that some part of the author, some part of the author's background, his experiences, his thoughts and emotions, and his philosophies and ideologies do seep into the work, because that's the reason why he creates that work. The universe. And you, as me, personally, I look at myself as a channel. I feel that the universe wants something created. So he uses me as a channel. It uses me as a channel, and it just flows through me, because everything is imagination that flows through me, and I try to create a work of art. And not just that, I feel that, more than that, I think a writer, for me personally, I feel that I go one step further, and I say I'm not just a channel, but also a kind of a messenger, because with the kind of books I'm writing, I'm trying to create, give you, let's say, situations and pros and cons and possibilities, and of things that could be, so with my imagination, with the channel that is flowing through me, of the muse, I'm trying to give society some kind of, not solution, I wouldn't call it solution, but some kind of, what should I say, some kind of offering from my side. So sometimes I also look at myself as a messenger. So having said this, I feel that not every book that I write can be separated from me as an author. At the same time, not every book that I write has me as an author in it. It's a very, very ambiguous situation, very difficult to say who has whom in it and how much, to what degree. I think each book has to be looked at as a separate entity.
That brings me to the third question. In your work, The Cosmic Clues, we meet this character Sonia Samarth, one who uses Hindu astrology to solve crimes. How did you come up with such a character? Has your mother, Shobha Prabhu, who practiced astrology, something to do with this?
Of course, because I grew up in an atmosphere where astrology was very much a part of my life, and my mother being an astrologer, there was so much, like I used to as a child, not just child, even as growing up in college days, I used to ask her, tell me, if this person is going to like me, or if I've lost something, I used to say, where can I find it? So I knew growing up that astrology was a very powerful tool, but there was one incident in particular which actually told me that it could be used by my character Sonia Samarth in solving crimes. I don't know if we have the time to narrate that, but something did happen. My mom shared an experience with me which told me that astrology, or rather the Vedic horoscope, is a kind of a map. It's like an X-ray of a person, and it can definitely tell you whether a person has criminal tendencies or not. And when she told me one particular incident, I realized that astrology being an Indian science was never really used to its fullest, or not exploited, in crime solving. So why not do it in literature? And which is how Sonia Samarth was born. She's a lovely character, modern, but at the same time rooted in traditions. Uh, is a psychologist, understands human beings very well, and knows how to use Vedic horoscopes to find her solutions.
Right. Ma'am,
Ma'am, my fourth question is, if you had the chance to interview Agatha Christie, or maybe you already have, I don't know about it, if you have the chance now, what would be your first question to her?
I haven't even interviewed Agatha Christie because I was very young when she passed away. Although I would have loved her. I mean, would love to talk to her and interview her, and but I have spoken to her grandson several times, Matthew Pritchard, and it's always been a pleasure. And he's always spoken a lot about his grandmother to me. Well, the question I would ask Agatha Christie, who I think is like the ultimate in crime fiction, because she's just done about every crime story that can be written, any mystery story, everything that has to be done in this genre has already been done by her. So my question to Agatha Christie would be: is there something that you wanted to write but could not write? Are there any regrets in terms of having not written a story that you wanted to write? I think that would be the question I would ask.
Ma'am, it is one of your favorite quote, I know. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Now, how significant is this quote of Benjamin Franklin in your life significant?
Of your question. So yes, it has. So I know where you got that quote from. It's on my website, and it actually means a lot to me, because I feel that we have two options in life. To do something that is worthwhile, that people will talk about, to be a good human being, actually, because I believe that love and compassion are the two most important and most unique emotions in our life, which are the most essential. And every problem in life can be solved by being loving and compassionate. So I feel that when I say that either write something worthwhile or let somebody else talk about you, I'm paraphrasing. I mean that you do your best to be a person that people will follow as an example and will talk about you. On the other hand, write something worthwhile is, of course, I believe that, especially because I write mystery genre and mystery novels, I feel that it's a genre in which you can encompass other genres, like other messages. For example, a mystery novel can be, it can have a social message, it can have an emotional message, it can have a political message, it has relationship messages. So all these messages and all these subtle nuances can be incorporated into a mystery novel. So when I say write something worthwhile, what I mean is using that mystery genre to convey something that I feel very strongly about, and that something that will be worthwhile for people to pick up and read.
Right.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for taking and answering all the questions. This was Shreya in conversation with Manjiri Prabhu. We were discussing about films, authors. We were trying to decode Roland Barthes' criticism, essay on criticism. So, thank you so very much. Thank you, ma'am.